Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We were told that we couldn't win this election. But tonight, we prove that with hope, hard work, and the people by our side, anything is possible.
It's new senator-to-be, senator-elect, I guess you would say, the runoff. Raphael Warnock, Reverend Warnock. How about that? Senior pastor, Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. Very interesting what happened yesterday. Kind of knew something was a brewing. You kind of did. I said of the two races, this one I thought was the easier of the two for the Democrats to win. I said it was going to be a dead heat in the other one. But at the end of the day, and there's going to be, let me tell you guys, there's going to be some recounts. You have to request it within 2 days. Let me break this down. As soon as it's certified, you have to request a recount. You can request that in two ways. One, if you're within a 0.5 percentage point, which it looks like it's going to kind of be that way. And two, if you feel there's been some nefariousness or there were some mistakes made, then you can request it. But how big is it with Ossoff and with Warnock? And there's going to be a recount. And the potential of what's in front of us right now. It's huge. Democrats hold it all now. That's the way you're going to have to start looking at it. The Democrats hold it all. 50-50. When it comes to the Senate, Kamala Harris, vice president, will be the president of Congress, therefore breaking said tie. That means Chucky will be it. Mitch, no longer the man. Ossoff, very much, even though not all of the dust is settled, and it may still be a day or so, because you know there's going to be recounts, and there's going to be people, we're never going to give up, we're going to keep fighting. I get that. Very much sounds like a person who's saying, hey, we won.
It is with humility that I thank the people of Georgia for electing me to serve you in the United States Senate. Thank you for the confidence and trust that you have placed in me. Ensuring that we invest in an economic recovery that includes all communities and securing equal justice for all. Following in the footsteps of leaders who have departed us in this last year, like Congressman John Lewis and C.T. Vivian. I am honored by your support, by your confidence, by your trust, and I will look forward to serving you in the United States Senate with integrity, with humility, with honor.
Interesting. We said it yesterday. You know, people asked me yesterday, what was my feeling? I said Purdue and Ossoff I thought was going to be closer. I think it was a toss-up. I still thought it was going to be 60-40 that the Democrats won. Why did they win? I mean, you're talking about Georgia. Georgia, a red state, Georgia. It's not red anymore. It's like, here, I live in Arizona. It's not red anymore. It's purple. People are moving from places like California and New York, and they're settling, and they're bringing with them their politics. And the reason some of them are leaving is because they don't like what's going on in their home states, and they're bringing with them their politics. Well, some of their politics is the reason that their home states are what they are, and that's why they're finding new home states. But I also think a lot of what Trump has said and done in the battle that's gone on in Georgia is really backfired. People don't want to hear that. They don't. Oh, no way. It's MAGA forever. It's Trump. It's all of these things. Today's the day, Chad, and we're going to touch on that in a minute. But this is big. Now, people are asking me last night, is all this stuff broke down? Okay, now the taxation's going to start. All of these things are going to start. First of all, take a deep breath. A few things that the Democrats even know, and somebody like Joe Biden, President-elect Joe Biden knows, is, they're going to go tax hog crazy. It's not going to happen. Right? It's not. And several of the people I've talked to inside the Democratic Party know, look, and this is something I said to them, and they said, absolutely, you're not going to give an anchor to a drowning man, which is what's going on in our economy. Doesn't mean in a few years when we get back on our feet, you might not see something. But by the time that happens, we may be in a situation where, guess what? There's going to be more seats up for grabs. The House may not be what it is. You saw what happened in this past election with Congress in the House, and how Republicans made huge strides, even though a lot of people thought it was going to be another tsunami of blue, and it was the exact opposite. So there's a lot that goes into this. But yes, I think Trump and the way that things have gone down, we're a huge player in a lot of this. We're a huge player in a ton of this. So here we are. Then today is the day. The certification today. Today is the day that Congress goes and certifies it. Let me tell you how it works. I'm going to break it down. Keep it simple, stupid. That's how we do it here. So 6 letters go out, right? So 6 letters go out, from the governor to the archives, and the archives in D.C., the state archives, to the federal judges in the states that they represent, and then one goes to Congress, goes to Vice President Mike Pence, who yesterday, basically over the last couple of days, has been continually telling everybody, "Hey, I can't do anything, Trump." Now Trump's coming out and say, "Oh, Mike." By the way, Congress, they don't really have any power. They don't. People say, "Oh, they can do all these things." You can challenge all you want, but the reality is you don't have the House. You'd have to have the House to vote along with the Senate to throw out Electoral College votes. Do you understand that? So if the Senate says, "Yeah, Mitch has got it, we're throwing all these things out," but the House says no, tie goes to the runner. Tie goes to the runner. Well, what about Mike Pence? Mike Pence has to be there. The reality is it's more for looks than anything else. It's part of the pomp and circumstances. If you were elected prime minister in England, right, the UK, you have to go to the palace to get essentially it's all right. Yes, welcome, you're prime minister. But the reality of that is that is ceremonial, much like what Pence is going to be going through.
When the House and Senate come together today to ratify the Electoral College results, Vice President Mike Pence will be front and center, presiding over the session as the president of the Senate. But his constitutionally mandated role is purely ceremonial. Pence is expected to read from a script, open envelopes that show states officially certified electoral votes, and eventually announce Joe Biden as the winner of the election. But that hasn't stopped President Trump from pushing Pence in private and in public to deny Biden's victory, something Pence does not have the authority to do.
No. Well, Chad, what about it doesn't matter? So this is what has to happen today. You need the Senate and the Congress, right? The Senate and the House to totally agree that these votes should be thrown out. You think that's going to happen? It's not. It's not going to happen. So many people yesterday like, you wait till the 6th, man. There's going to be some stuff going on. Nothing's going on. You're going to have to learn to accept the fact that Joe Biden's going to be president. Have you? Of course, he's the president. I'm moving on with my life. So Ted Cruz and Andy Biggs and several others out there, some in the House, some in the Senate, because you need one from each house to one from each part to go, okay, yeah, this chamber's going to do it. We're going to do it. You have to submit it in writing. All right, you object, blah, blah. Then they go behind closed doors for up to 2 hours. No witnesses, no recording devices, nobody's sworn under oath. None of it is. And you debate the merits of whatever evidence and stuff you have. Then you go from there. So there's 6 to maybe 7 swing states that they may try to do that on. Potentially, this could take hours and hours. All they're doing is delaying the inevitable. That's it. That's all they're doing. They're not doing anything other than that. They're delaying the inevitable. Why would they do that? Simple. Ted Cruz, for example. He's doing it because it does a lot of things. First thing it does is raises your profile. You're going to need Trump supporters. Raises your profile. Why? Because Ted Cruz has eyes on the prize, the White House. Josh Hawley, eyes on the prize. He's thinking bigger. It makes me look bigger. This is what you need to do. It's grandstanding. For some other people, it's a chance to get even a bigger name who may have eyes on the Senate. People who are in Congress. Things of that nature, that's why they do it. But at the end of the day, this is pomp, circumstances, and ceremonial. 1824 was the last time anything like this happened. John Quincy Adams. It's just not going to happen. And when you tell people that and you break it down, people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you told me that. Like I'm some jerk, like I made up the rules. Yeah, I've been around a long time, made up the rules. It's just the way it is. Not a good night for the Republicans. And today, for a lot of people who are holding out hope that magically this is the day, it ain't going to be. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Love and hate. All I do is I bring you the facts, the data. I'm the messenger. We try to have some fun, which we're going to do. I was just trying to give you an insight of how a lot of this plays out, what's going on from here, what this means. You'd be surprised, though, some of the disdain that you get because you're like, well, how dare you tell me the truth, you jerk face. Raycons, best earbuds around. Incredible. Love them. Got mine. You got yours. I got mine. You got yours. I have my Raycons with me. I haven't charged them like 3 days. I still have like 2 hours of talk time, listen time. It's great. I'm going to go play soccer today. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to run around, and I don't have to worry about them falling on my ears. No stems, no wires. Seamlessly onto from my laptop to my phone, straight out the door, boom, away I go. And it is awesome. You need to get yours. You're thinking to yourself, you know what, I need to treat myself. I'm trying to get myself in better shape. I'm out walking, I'm running, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. You know, I'm going to be working from home more. I don't want stupid wires and stems sticking out. I don't want any of that stuff. This is what you need. Raycons. Comfortable, noise-isolating fit, separates it, and the price point's amazing. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Get yours. Save 15% on, let me just tell you this. Well under $100 these things start. Well under $100. Save an extra 15%. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Tomorrow's going to tell you a lot about the country because I can tell you, Sean, any senator or any congressman that does not, meaning on this side, that does not fight tomorrow, I'm telling you, will not, their political career is over because the MAGA movement is going nowhere. My father's created the greatest political movement in American history, and I'm telling you, they will get primaried the next time around, and they will lose if they don't stand up and show some backbone and show some conviction.
Eric Trump there. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not happening, bro. But you go ahead and you do it, right? Like, I got to go through the motions. And some people are going to go through the motions. It's going to go nowhere. It's going, look at the 12th Amendment. It's going nowhere, people. It is. And here's something else. I said this the other day. Even if Mike Pence could in some way, shape, or form do something, I don't think he would. I don't. He's a Christian first, a man of faith. He's a husband and father second, for he is a politician. And because of that, I don't think he would. And people are going to be mad today because they don't understand how, we were just talking, producer Phil and I were talking, because CNN's breaking down, okay, how this whole thing works, how a president gets elected. And he's like, do we not know that? I'm like, no, people don't know that. People don't understand. I've had people over the last several days going, Chad, on January 6th, you're going to see this whole thing. You're going to see this entire thing break out. And the way it's going to be done is going to be amazing because he's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. And this is his checkmate. It isn't happening. It isn't. Now the question is, what's it mean with the Senate, the House, and the presidency? But the Senate was big. The control of the Senate, that's a huge deal. The big thought process is Mitch McConnell could fight everything off and we'd get some gridlock, which is kind of what our founding fathers wanted. They didn't want one party to overrun the other party to the point where it was just a rubber stamp kind of thing. And if you go and look at our history, The times that we thrive the best are under Democratic presidents and one or both of the chambers controlled in Congress by Republicans. That's when we do well.
Right. Can Joe Biden get confirmation hearings for all his cabinet picks? Can he get legislation to the floor? Can he get judicial nominees through? A 50-50 Senate for the Democrats is not easy by any means, but you would much rather have Chuck Schumer control the floor, what comes to the floor, and Democrats as the chairman of the committees than Mitch McConnell controlling the floor. A 50-50 Senate gives Joe Biden a chance, as we said. Then he controls the agenda. It's not easy. You can't pass big things, 50-50, but it's a lot easier. You'll have a different set of headaches. Democrats, progressives would be demanding bold change. If you have the Senate majority, you'd rather have that headache than Mitch McConnell controlling what comes to the floor of the Senate.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. There is a glimmer of hope because of Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin, that is, people are going to be looking at him on both sides. Talk about the pressure that he has right now. And the reason for that is he is a blue senator in a dead red state. He is very, 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 very much under a ton of pressure because he's not going to play the game of I'm going to give the progressives everything, but he's going to have to give up some. Because what does he want to do? You want to keep power. You want to keep your job. So at some point in time, you're also going to have to side with Republicans because your constituents who don't mind you, even though you're a Democrat in a red state, they're going to be hoping that you check them. Hope. But I think you're going to find a lot of that. And you know, again, everybody's like, well, they're going to turn Puerto Rico and D.C. into a state. They're going to expand the courts. They're going to settle down. Settle down. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. By the way, have we even asked Puerto Rico, hey, you guys want to be state? Puerto Rico might be, no, we enjoy what we have. It's like we're dating with all the benefits of dating, but we're not really tied up. If you know what I mean. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Crazy. 2021 so far is doing its thing. Motoring along. The anger. There's plenty of anger out there. I don't get it. Chad, don't you care about America? That's my favorite thing. You're not a patriot. What are you talking about? I'm not emotional. I can't live in emotion. Isn't that exhausting? I even see it on my Facebook page. Check it out. Go there. Chad Benson Show. Facebook. And I've got people from all walks of life. I've got independents. I've got liberals. I've got conservatives. And I like the fact that we've got a wide variety because we live in a world where we should have a wide variety of things. We need balance. And balance doesn't mean 50-50. But we need people that can check. We do. We need balance. And it's amazing. It is. It is totally amazing how people don't understand that. They just, I don't get, no, it should just be, no, it shouldn't be just one side. Go look across the country. Majority of states are one side. I think it was last year we were talking about, was it 49 of the 50 states were essentially one party? And out of that, I think one state, I think it might have been Minnesota, had some sort of split. But then there was like 25 of those states or 26 of those states that were like super majorities. No, we don't need that. You need some balance because it's good to check and have authority. That's why the Senate runoffs were so important. You only had to win one. You get one, what happens? Well, you got some balance. Mitch the Kill. Oh, I don't think so. It's kind of like Consuela. No. But instead it was Mitch the Kill. No, I don't think so. It's not going to be that way now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Weird situation last night. Didn't get a ton of coverage about today. Air traffic controller, the FAA air traffic controllers checking this message coming through from Iran.
The FBI and FAA are looking into a breach of the air traffic control system tonight after someone broadcast a threat to attack the U.S. Capitol over the radio frequencies used by pilots.
The chilling threat was heard by multiple air traffic controllers on Monday afternoon in New York.
We are flying a plane into the Capitol Wednesday. Soleimani will be avenged.
Soleimani. So remember General Soleimani? Trump blew him up. This was guy, if you guys don't remember, Soleimani was probably the most singularly influential person in the Middle East when it comes to just the influence he has, especially with terror, with everything from Hezbollah and Hamas and all the. He was extremely influential and took him out.
The Pentagon and other agencies were briefed about the digitized voice recording and believe it was designed to suggest hitting the Capitol on the same day Congress is set to count the Electoral College results. The recording refers to Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general killed in a U.S. drone strike ordered by President Trump, and came on the one-year anniversary of his death.
You look over his past, he's been called a monster. He was a monster, and he's no longer a monster. He's dead.
Niedermeyer, dead. Soleimani, dead. Some of you who are older will get that. Others will not. He was, man. That guy was super influential. Did a lot of things. Had blood all over his hands in a bunch of different countries throughout the region and made things unstable in a lot of places where Iran wanted to get their mitts, hands, and evil doings into. Here's the thing, though. If Iran hates Trump, if you did that today, so let's just say you're going to fly something into the Capitol today because you're going to get revenge and you'll show them and Trump and everything. Okay, do that. Because then what happens if you hate Trump? Oh, he declares martial law, suspends the Constitution maybe, and he's still here. What are you going to do then? Just curious. Oh, didn't think of this. Yeah, you didn't think of that. Do I think anything's going to happen? Well, it's enough for people to stand up and take a peek and say, we should think about this. Do I think that's going to happen? I do not. But the fact is that they felt it credible, and so they're going to make sure they pay extra attention.
In Iran, Soleimani is revered, and Iranian officials have vowed revenge. While the government does not believe the warning of an attack is credible, it is being investigated as a breach of aviation frequencies, and the threat would be a crime. Air traffic controllers were reminded today to report anything unusual, like if a plane deviates from its flight path or any type of threat. The FAA is working with law enforcement. The FBI is not commenting.
I don't think anything's going to happen. By the way, Producer Phil, does that sound like that guy was struggling to talk?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Like he's struggling. Like, you okay? You all right, dude? I just want to make sure you're okay. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. You know, people keep getting, I love it when you guys tweet. I love when you text. And again, I will talk to all peoples. I got zero problems engaging in conversation. I don't want to fight. It's just stupid. It's ridiculous. But, people are saying, Chad, you have no idea that Pence is pulling it out for us today.
And I hope Mike Pence comes through for us, I have to tell you. I hope that our great vice president comes through for us. He's a great guy. Of course, if he doesn't come through, I won't like him quite as much.
You imagine having that conversation. It's like, Mr. President, I can do nothing, right? This is like, I'm throwing out the first pitch, right? I'm not the starter. Like Trump's right. I want you to pitch a good game. I want you to pitch a no-hitter today. You got this. He's like, dude, I'm throwing out the first pitch, man. I'm not the starter. I'm not playing. I'm not involved. I just get to announce the winner. That's it. That's like being mad at Michael Buffer, the great, ring announcer in boxing. Let's get ready to run. That guy. It's like being mad at him because he reads the scorecards that other people give him to read. They're like, well, that guy's a jerk. It's all his fault. Let's get him. Oh, my goodness. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I find this to be interesting. We're moving forward. It's going to happen. Somebody said to me last night, do you want, you always say, Chad, that you don't want Biden to fail. I'm like, no. Do you want him to fail? Some people are like, yeah, I hope he does. I'm like, why? Again, we go back to, that's like asking, I don't really like this pilot. I hope he crashes our plane. That's the dumbest thing ever. But now is the question is, can we get together? Can we be in a situation where we have true, honest debate and conversation? And I've said from the beginning, how Biden will unite the country is bore the country. I think that's a big thing. I think the boring of the country, meaning he's not going to be, this isn't a reality television show. This isn't those things are going to go away. This isn't let's follow Trump 24/7 on his Twitter and see what he's tweeting about and saying. This isn't gaslighting people. It is going to be a much different way that this thing takes place. Doesn't mean it's going to be better in the long run, but doesn't mean it's going to be worse. It's going to be different, though, especially from the media's perspective. And if you want to talk about people who helps, it's obviously the media does. There's several reports over the last several years and studies that say the liberal media and the big media, the New York Times, the LA Times, the CNNs, the MSNBCs, the huge establishment media are anywhere between 6 and 10 point boost for the Democrats with the way that they handle coverages. That's absolutely true. It is. It's 100, and then you got to throw in now big tech and things of that nature. The end of the day, though, you did have 75-ish million people that voted for Donald Trump who are Americans, who do love this country, and they are going to be feeling like they're left out in the cold. And I hear always, we got to include, we got to be inclusive, we got to bring people together. Well, you know what? In the world of compromise, we don't have that anymore. Like I say, the way that you negotiate is how? I'm going to ask you for something. You're going to ask me for something. I'm going to ask you for something. I'm going to have a few things. I'm going to have my absolute must and I'm going to have my wants. You're going to have your absolute must and you're going to have your wants. We're not going to get everything. But it's the way that you participate. We don't have that. Now it's all or nothing in every way, shape, or form. And I found this to be interesting the other day, this battle, not only CNN, but Meghan McCain on The View, about the way that Trump supporters have been portrayed. And, it just the fighting between him, Don Lemon, and, Anna Navarro, Scaramucci, and Carpenter just going at each other. It's hilarious.
Anthony, you're too smart for that.
Okay.
Well, he worked for Trump, so I don't know.
I didn't. Oh, my God. Anthony.
Well, Amanda,
you work for Ted Cruz. You work for Ted Cruz, a full-on traitor. I mean, what are you talking about? You don't have any standing to say that.
Excuse me, Anthony Scaramucci. I remember you going to the cameras and praising Donald Trump to the hilt. When I worked for Ted Cruz, you want to go there? He took
principled
constitutional
stance. You didn't praise Ted Cruz when you worked for him?
Excuse me.
Yeah, by the way, Ted Cruz today is going to go out there and be one of the people, Amanda, who's going to do what? Who's going to fight for the president. So slow your roll. But then Sour Lemon, as good Anthony puts it, says something here that is true. And it's tough because we live in a world now where we want to say, gotcha, I told you so, ha-ha, victory, scoreboard.
We have millions and millions of voters who believe this election was illegitimate and it was stolen. Why do they believe that? Because you have been telling them that. Of course they're going to believe it. If you would stop telling them that and start telling them the truth, then maybe they would believe the truth that the election was not stolen and that was a clean election according to everyone who has investigated, most of them Republicans. So stop saying that we must respect Trump supporters who believe bullshit, because it is bullshit that you have been feeding them.
But you do have to respect him, right? You have to respect him, Don. You do. And the way that you portray him. Now, the sad thing is some of that of what he said was true. But we're in a situation now where we're going to have to start learning how to have conversations and respect for one another. We don't have to hate each other. For whatever reason, we've gotten this opportunity to have a disdain for one another. We're going to pick this up and talk more about this because of the debate that was on The View the other day about Trump supporters and the way they're portrayed. Not all Democrats, right? I'm going to say this. Not all Trump supporters are anti-science, drag their knuckles, date their sisters, and drive giant trucks. Not all Democrats want to get rid of guns and are pro-choice. But the way that everybody gets portrayed, which is the way you paint a picture, is very important. We try to do it different here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, talk about that. Plus, Dr. Dre needed a doctor. And Tanya Roberts, we got more Tanya Roberts. This time she is dead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Joy, to your point, who are these people? Who are these people? Are 70 million Americans that voted for Trump. Biden won, but he didn't win by any kind of the landslide that I for one, thought he might have. And I
but
think
he
that,
won.
You know, but he did, and it's fair and valid, and I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the rhetoric in the media needs to be more respectful of people, of Trump voters. And I think that's how we got to this place to begin with. And going forward in 2021, I think that we need to be respectful of the 70 million Americans that for whatever reason did not feel that they could, in good faith, pull the trigger for President Biden and Vice President Harris.
Yeah. How about we respect each other? Like, is that a bad thing?
No, I just think I know people that quietly voted for Trump, that didn't want to be shamed, that don't want to be yelled at, that don't want to be called racist. And I think that when you see this kind of pressure, it should not have been this close. The election should not have been this close. If you're President Biden now, or excuse me, President-elect, it was. But that's why President Trump is using the insanity that he is, which, again, there's been no evidence to show.
He has lost, in terms of respect the people who voted for Biden.
Yeah, I do. I don't care who you voted for. You get the respect. You voted. You participated. I didn't care if you don't vote either, by the way, because you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Or you decided, you know what, I'm passing on voting for any of these people. I'll vote down ballot. I'll vote for, some of the bill. I mean, some of the stuff that was rolled out there, the laws and stuff that you can vote on this, that, and the other in your states. That's great. This prop this and that prop that. I'll vote for that, but I'm not. But we can respect each other, and we don't do that anymore because it's so much easier to get pissed and angry at one another. And I understand the emotion. Since Trump won, the Democrats spent 4 years trying to undo that. The Democrats did. The media did. The media has attacked Trump supporters as racist, homophobic, Nazis, misogynistics. I mean, all of these things. And people got sick and tired of it. And I totally get that. But you got to be better. You got to be better than that. And you're better than that by going, you know what? I respect the fact that we voted for different people. We're moving on with our lives. Right? I hope Biden succeeds. When he does something good, I'll say it. When he does something bad or something I disagree with, I will say it. As it should be. as it should be. But it starts first with us starting to respect each other, which we don't do anymore, because why should we when we have a platform to yell at people across the country who will never meet and tell them how stupid and wrong and bad they are and accuse them of things and try to destroy their lives and vice versa. Don't do it. Don't fall in that trap.
Dr. Dre suffered a brain aneurysm. His legal team confirms to ABC News, but the rap star and Beats co-founder says he's doing great. Tweeting from the hospital. Without talking about what put him there, Dre says he's getting excellent care from his medical team and says he'll be out of the hospital and back home soon. He also thanks his family, friends, and fans for their well wishes, ending with one love.
One love, baby. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Dre. Bunch of doctors in a room. He's okay. Did he have COVID? No, it is an aneurysm. But was it COVID aneurysm? So is that something? Look that up. Is that one of the? Is that something? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tanya Roberts, who died then was declared alive, has indeed passed away again. So it's just been a crazy week. 2021 is off to a bang. I'll let you know that. Follow along all social medias at Chad Benson Show. This is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It is with humility that I thank the people of Georgia for electing me to serve you in the United States Senate. Thank you for the confidence and trust that you have placed in me. Ensuring that we invest in an economic recovery that includes all communities and securing equal justice for all. Following in the footsteps of leaders who have departed us in this last year, like Congressman John Lewis and C.T. Vivian. I am honored by your support, by your confidence, by your trust, and I will look forward to serving you in the United States Senate with integrity, with humility, with honor.
Off. Now, Republicans had to win one. There were two. You had to win one. You had to split. That's it. Doubleheader. You have to split one. That's all you have to do. You split one. You maintain the lead in the Senate. Mitch gets to keep Mitch's job of being the no guy. I don't think so. That's what Mitch gets to do. That would be his gig. That was his gig. But Chad, Ossoff and all this stuff, and there's going to be recounts. Yes, there is. Here's the deal. They didn't do it. Trump hurt him. He absolutely did in Georgia. And because of that, Senate's going to go in another direction. Now the House, the Senate, and the presidency is going to be held by the Democrats. Ossoff. And like I said, there's going to be recounts. You can ask for recounts after the certification. You have 2 days to ask for the recount based on some of it is almost, if you're within a half a percentage point, others if you feel there's nefariousness going on. Now, you can ask for it. Doesn't mean you will get that. But you also may not ask for it. Warnock.
We were told that we couldn't win this election. But tonight, we proved that with hope, hard work, and the people by our side, anything is possible.
And there you go. This is big. I talked about this from the moment the last election was over, when all the dust settled and we can look around and say, okay, what does everything look like? And I said, this is huge. Hence the reason why yesterday, when all was done and settled and the dust settled, there was $500 million was spent here. No, it was about $800 million spent in Georgia for these Senate races. Think about that. Loeffler wasn't a very good candidate. Just wasn't. Perdue, he'd been the incumbent. But Trump, the rhetoric, it hurt. It did. You can't tell me that it didn't hurt. It totally did. These weren't blowouts. You knew it was going to be close. I thought it was 60-40 that the Dems would win both. I thought it was 60-40. Well, there you go. Now, Kamala Harris breaks the tie, means that Mitch goes, no. And then Chuck Schumer goes, hello, it's me, Chuck. And he gets to lead the Senate, which means more things can come to the floor. They can control a lot more. Doesn't make it easy. Doesn't make it simple. It's not a rubber stamp to do all kinds of things that they want to do. And you still have some senators, while Democrats are in very red states. And what do people like? They like their jobs. What do politicians like? They love their jobs and their fiefdoms. Joe Manchin. Even here in Arizona, you have Mark Kelly. We'll see how he does. You have Kyrsten Sinema, who's one of the most independent senators out there, even though she's a Democrat. She doesn't do the political correctness kind of thing. She's not this kind of, she goes, she does her things. She's not afraid to reach across the aisle. So it's not going to be a rubber stamp on everything. But at the end of the day, you could kind of see this thing happening. And when you've got the likes of the battle that's going on there, not just the phone call, but, you had Lynn Wood, who weeks ago, along with the release of Kraken Porter lady, Sidney Porter, out there telling everybody, oh, my God, don't vote. Republicans, stay home. Don't vote in this thing. Are you kidding me? And in Georgia, Lynn Wood's a big deal. He represented, some big people in Georgia. He was a big deal. Richard Jewell was like the crowning jewel of all those things. So this didn't go very well. It didn't. And I think when all is said and done, they're going to go, the rhetoric absolutely hurt. Not that these candidates were, naive. Look, all four of them have their flaws. Welcome to the world of human beings. But at the end of the day, Trump, his rhetoric, his screaming, his yelling, it's like, this was stolen. You can't believe any of these things that happened. Even yesterday, before the polls were even open, it's like, oh, here the Dominion machines, voting machines aren't even working. I mean, it's that doesn't help, because what it does is it makes people feel like, well, I can't trust this, so I'm just not even going to participate. I can't trust this, so I'm not going to participate at all. But also the suburbs, suburban women hurt Trump. And I think when Trump is the postmortem after he leaves and the dust settled, it's hard to see how this plays out, because I think a lot of politicians, Republican ones I talk to, say things off the record because they fear the backlash of Trump and his supporters. Today, Trump is what? Hoping and praying, as are many of his supporters, that somehow magically Mike Pence is going to be able to do something and Congress is going to fix something and these challenges are going to change something today as they certify Congress, and then they go and they certify the election, and it's just not going to happen.
More than half of Republicans in the House and 13 Republican senators are expected to lodge formal challenges to results in at least 3 states. States that have already certified the election, states where courts have repeatedly found no credible evidence of the president's false claims of widespread voter fraud. The group of challengers do not have the votes to overturn the will of the American electorate.
They don't. Yeah, they do. No, they don't. Go look at it. Well. What about Pence? I mean, this guy totally can do it. He can't.
When the House and Senate come together today to ratify the Electoral College results, Vice President Mike Pence will be front and center, presiding over the session as the president of the Senate. But his constitutionally mandated role is purely ceremonial. Pence is expected to read from a script, open envelopes that show states officially certified electoral votes, and eventually announce Joe Biden as the winner of the election. But that hasn't stopped President Trump from pushing Pence in private and in public to deny Biden's victory, something Pence does not have the authority to do.
Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. He is throwing out the ceremonial first pitch, right? You know what he is? He's the fan that gets to go to the lottery night in basketball and open up one of the envelopes. That's it. He's not the real GM. He's not. He's none of those things. If you win an election in the UK and you become the prime minister, right? So you're Boris Johnson. But I'm Boris Johnson. You go to the palace, right? The Queen will summon you. And you go over there. Are you prepared to be the Prime Minister of this great... Yeah. Yes, of course, I am very excited about doing the whole thing. Do you like my hair? I think you're going to be pretty good at this. Are you prepared for all the stuff to be... Yeah. Okay. It's ceremonial. She doesn't really have a say to stop anything. It's kind of the same thing here. The way this thing breaks down today, I'm going to break it down to you guys. Simple, quick, and easy. All of Congress meets. So they're all there. We're all meeting. You need one from each house to say, I object. But you have to do it in writing. Now they stand up and go, I object, sir. No, you do it in writing. And you're like, all right. And then somebody from the Senate would go, okay. So we're going to go each to our chambers, and we're going to talk this over. You present evidence. Nobody's under oath. All right, there's no witnesses, none of that stuff. You go in there and you say, here's all the evidence I have. Here's everything I have. And boom. If they come back, even if they come back and the Senate says, hey, we are going to deny these electoral college votes from said state, wherever. If the House doesn't do it, right? So Nancy and them are like, well, we're not. Then the electoral college votes still go through. It's not changing anything today. And people hate to hear that. Like I'm bringing them some sort of like, you made this up, Chad. Chad, you made it up. No, I didn't. Are you sure you didn't make it up? Nah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. 1824, last time this happened. And what they can do, Congress, is they can oppose people voted in to their chambers. That's what they can do. But outside of that, this is mostly ceremonial. So Ted Cruz and them are doing it for several reasons. Well, why would they do it? Because their eye is on a different prize.
Texas senior Senator John Cornyn says he has no plans to challenge Joe Biden's November 3rd victory, telling his constituents in a letter that he won't object to the certification of the election results based on, quote, unproven allegations. Cornyn has just won another 6-year term, while fellow Texan Senator Ted Cruz may be pondering another run at the White House in 2024. He might need the backing of Donald Trump and his supporters, and today will lead the objections to certifying the Biden victory.
Yeah. And because of that, right? So because of all of those things, those people that are getting involved in this, and you've got Josh Hawley and you've got several other people that are getting involved in a situation like this, it's about raising profile. You know, whether you have your eyes on a prize of running for presidency, or maybe if you're somebody who's in the House, you're looking at the opportunity to raise your profile and try to unseat the person who's a senator from your state. A lot of that is what it's about. And, you know, because also the fear of, oh, God, you know, even though none of these people are my constituents, the online mob, the MAGA mob, will come for you. Eric Trump.
Tomorrow's going to tell you a lot about the country, because I can tell you, Sean, any senator or any congressman that does not, meaning on this side, that does not fight tomorrow, I'm telling you, will not, their political career is over, because the MAGA movement is going nowhere. My father's created the greatest political movement in American history, and I'm telling you, they will get primaried the next time around, and they will lose if they don't stand up and show some backbone and show some conviction.
Well, we'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Again, crazy day, weird day. Welcome to the world of politics. Welcome to the world where we live, which is 2021, which is chaos and craziness on a daily basis. I mean, think about it this week. Tanya Roberts died, the actress. Then she didn't die. Then she died again. What? Yeah. So you had an actress from the 80s who was, and this is just how fast things change and how quick things. She died, according to her publicist and her partner. He informed the publicist. Nobody really got word. Then they found out she was alive, but she really wasn't alive. By the sounds of it, she was brain dead, and then she died again. It's crazy. And coronavirus still here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. What's trending, kids? Straight ahead, Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Oh, God, what is trending? Let's start with Twitter. Let's start over at Twitter, where everybody's arguing themselves over all kinds of stuff. Georgia Senate runoff, still trending. Eric Trump. Of course, earlier we heard him. If you don't support my dad. I don't think he sounds like that. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if you saw yesterday, the Republican senators from Pennsylvania refused to seat a Democratic senator, the incumbent, who won the state re-election. I'm like, oh, my God. Is this what we're at? California. Think about this with California. All right? Just soak this up for a second. We're looking at you, producer Anthony. So, COVID is on the rise, no matter what they do. Crushing the restaurant industry like you could not believe. Ridiculously expensive to live. Crazy one-sided politics. Homelessness everywhere. So you start going through. Oh, and by the way, blackouts are coming. Oh, jeez. Yeah. So that'll be fun. Head on over to the magic world of Google. Totally different in Google. Totally different. Dr. Dre and Kim Kardashian for the last 24 hours. The number one thing. And Dre suffered an aneurysm. Says he's doing fine. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West are in marriage counseling. But Kanye and both, she hired a super high-powered attorney. And he said that divorce is on the table. I was thinking yesterday, like, who's harder to deal with out of those two? So with Kanye, I think he's more manic and he's out there, but I think he's a little bit more down to earth, and I could be wrong. We're like, okay, we can go do something. Like, we could go do something and hang out and have dinner, and we're going to get weird conversations. Where I feel like Kim has to be, like, everything I feel like has to be Instagram worthy. And to me, that sounds more exhausting than the manicness of it all. And 11 minutes of day of exercise can reduce health issues and increase your lifespan. That's it. 11 minutes. We're at the point now. It's like, find something. Like, do you have a 6-minute nap? Do you have a 2-minute nap? Do you have a no-minute nap? What can we do? According to researchers, though, 11 minutes a day of some sort of exercise will increase your lifespan and help with your health. Not a shocker. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. There's a reboot in the works, and I don't know how this thing will ever come off at all. I just don't know if you can even do something like this in today's woke world. Chad Benson Show.
Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I watched Little House on the Prairie the other day. I'm not going to lie to you. I enjoy it. You enjoy it, Chad? I do. It was a simpler time. I was full of misogyny, homophobia, and racism, Chad. Look, stop ruining my childhood for your woke world. All right? I don't need to know. I don't need to care, right? Half Pint, Mary, right? Almanzo, Mon Pa, Nellie Olson, Harriet. She was awful, right? Harriet Olson. She was the first Karen. Her and Nellie are the first Karens. They're the first Karens. Well, they're going to reboot it. They are. They're going to reboot it. And I don't know how you do it in this day and age. I just don't. I don't know how you reboot things in a day and age of wokeness. And I say that because even now I watch my Western shows, and now they come with a disclaimer that, you know, these depictions are, you know, are set in the, you know, first of all, they were made in the 50s and 60s, and they're also set in the times, you know, of when things were like this. And it's like, because I'm waiting for them to come after that. Like, that's where we are. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how do you pull off Little House in the Prairie today? Because just a few years ago, there were issues with her book and her set of books, Laura Ingalls. There were issues with that because and you know, we're talking about burning books, if you will. I say that, you know, lovingly. But they're getting rid of books on campuses. It's nuts. And by the way, for those of you not keeping score, Laura Elizabeth Ingalls Wilder was a real human being. And just to give you guys even something creepier, are you ready for this, Producer Phil?
Hit me.
She died 13 years before I was born.
Wow.
That's crazy. But I don't know how you do it. I just don't know how you do a Little House in the Prairie in a day and age of wokeness. And I know that sounds weird because you think, oh, it's a Little House in the Prairie. But, I mean, Greece right now. Like, Greece is the word. Not anymore. Apparently Greece is rapey, homophobic. Yeah. Yeah. People are upset with that. It's the cancel culture we live in. You know, when I talk about things like, what do I fight for? I fight for not insane things. Not insane things. You don't need to rewrite history. History is exactly what it is. History. It's rapey. It's homophobic. It's you know, it's all, oh, wait, it's all these things? Get over it. We're writing a book now. My uncle's illustrating, we're writing a book. And the book is how to not be offended. How to get over offense. Well, Grease is all of these things. Then don't watch Grease. There you go. Problem solved. Did anything happen to you? No. Somebody tweeted something bad. Don't look at it. But problem solved. These are the things that I get frustrated with. Doctor Who. Doctor Who's become woke. BBC's woke, of course, but Doctor Who's become woke. And the ratings showed it crashed. Doctor Who's a woman. It's not very funny anymore. Going back in time. How far? Instead of going back in time to another place. No, we're not even going to another dimension, do any of those things. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go back to the 50s and we're going to set things straight. Oh, boy, that's exciting. It's not. This is the stuff of when I talk about joke about the Civil War, that we're never going to have a Civil War. But when I talk about the fact that we have a cultural Civil War, this is it. We've had a cultural war going on right now. These are the things. And it's not just us globally. It's everywhere.
What is indisputable is that they are systemically woke, and that is so built in. And woke isn't about a left-right thing. It's not. It's so built into into the way they think, the way they perceive. I mean, I scrolled through some BBC article the other day, and they were spelling female FEMXLE, and you know, it's like, well, the very fact that you do that and you don't even question that is evidence of this kind of systemic wokeness.
Yeah, it's comic. Andrew Doyle. It's nuts. Right? How about this? Like this, here's a perfect example of insanity on the floor, obviously, of what's going on. You know, a man, a woman. We were joking yesterday. Is no longer Mother Nature? Like Mother Nature's like, I identify as he, him, she, they, tsunami, tornado, volcano. One of Harvard Medical School's Twitter accounts referred to women giving birth as birthing people. Harvard then doubled down because people were pissed, and they said, in no way is this meant to erase or dehumanize women. It is. It's ridiculous. It's nuts.
So I don't know how they unpick that. I don't know how they would begin to do it. I think it's just too built in. You know, I've had enough conversations with people who work at the BBC. And this is not to say that everyone that works in the BBC feels this way, but everyone at the BBC knows that they have to toe the line on this. They really do.
And you have to battle this insanity. This is where the battle is. And it's not about whether or not I respect you. If you decide that you identify as a man or a woman or whatever, I can, you know what? What do you want to be called? By the way, I'm going to call you by your name. I don't need your pronouns. If you want to be called Gerald, I'll call you Gerald. If you want to be called Jedday, I'll call you Jenny. And I will respect you, and we're going to move on with your life. And you move on. That stuff is again, is what it is. I'm okay with it. This is the stuff. One of my favorite soccer players was suspended for 3 games. And he was suspended because of, he's Uruguayan. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, he said something about, in Spanish, to another Spanish player on, I think it was Twitter or Instagram. And they said, well, this is a discriminatory act, is what the English FA said. And then you've got people from Uruguay coming out going, no, you can't. You can't go out there and say this, because the Uruguayan culture is like, no, this is not any of those things. But you feel that you need to suspend this guy because it made you feel uncomfortable? Because some people may deem this to be that? You're telling me I'm now at the point where my culture is offensive because it made you feel uncomfortable. Then you've got the house of the floor, right? You know, the floor of the house, changing all kinds of things. We're removing certain things. We're changing things.
It's the height of hypocrisy for people who claim to be the champions of rights for women to deny the very biological existence of women. And this recent rule change that the House just actually voted and passed on, removing references to mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters from congressional rules and administration, it's mind-blowing because it shows just how out of touch with reality and the struggles of everyday Americans people in Congress are.
They are out of touch. Tulsi Gabbard. I like Tulsi a lot. I do. She's not insane. Tulsi Gabbard. She's a Democrat, but she's not insane. We're going to get rid of, yeah, because it's no, like, if you're the first female president, do you want to be called Madam President? He's Mr. President. When we call Madam, he's what we call President. She, him, her, president.
It shows that their first act as this new Congress could have been to make sure that elderly Americans are able to get the COVID vaccine now alongside frontline healthcare workers, elderly Americans who have the highest mortality rates from this virus. But instead of doing something that could actually help save people's lives, they're choosing instead to say, well, you can't say mother or father in any of this congressional language. It's astounding.
Because it's more about the wokeness, Tulsi, than anything else. It's more about saying things like amen and a woman than anything else. It's more about those kind of things. Like, how do I look? How do I look? Do I look good? Do I feel? This is the culture war that to me is far more important now than the things that are going on in the political arena at this moment in time. We're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with a lot of different things. But when you talk about where we're headed, the things that worry me more than whether or not Biden is going to raise taxes or he's going to, that stuff, that battle is going to come. But we overthink that and people freak out and think tomorrow, well, now that Biden's president and they've got control of the Senate and they got the House, we're going to become Venezuela. That stuff's not going to happen. This is the stuff that is happening now.
Congressman Markwayne Mullin and I, we introduced Protect Women's Sports Act. This legislation is actually necessary. When you look at why Title IX was created, it was created out of this recognition that there is a biological distinction between men and women and boys and girls. And it recognized that because of that, there needs to be a level playing field for girls and women to be able to compete and play in sports. Because there are people who are trying to deny my existence of biological women. It defies common sense. It defies basic established science. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, but it's part of the wokeness. And the funny thing is, when you talk to a lot of people who participate in a lot of this crazy wokeness, when you're just with them and you're chatting, they think it's all crap too. But they've now allowed it to get to the point where to even question it will put them in a tough position. And people are more worried about the media mob at this point in time and the cancel culture and being canceled than the actual, hey, is this the right thing? I mean, can we just have a conversation? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I have no idea there were birthing people. Oh, I'm a non-birthing female. What? What does that mean? Oh, what if you've had your tube tied? Or you can have see, we're running into stuff now. It's like, oh, we forgot about those people. We're running out of things. Oh, my goodness. Biolage female. How about that? Biolage female. X. Got to put an X in stuff. Which, ask most Latino people, like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. How about offensive? Who thought of this? Probably a woke white person. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens. This right here is what they're out there fighting for. Things like this, like your First Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights, protecting our Constitution, as well as going out there and making sure that your Social Security and Medicare is there and it's not going anywhere. This is what they fight for, as well as all the benefits. They're the fastest growing organization of over 50 in the country. Now's your chance to join. It's pennies a day. And whether you want to take advantage of all of the things they offer, retail, restaurant, hotel, travel discounts, half-price movie, amusement park discounts, all of those things, or maybe you need questions with Social Security and Medicare, they'll answer them and help you. Or whether you just like knowing, hey, these guys share my values and they're out there fighting for me, this is what AMAC's all about. Join them today, pennies a day, amac.us/Chad, amac.us/Chad, amac.us/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
I knew you. Taylor Swift's Folklore was 2020's biggest album, that according to Rolling Stone, which ranks albums based on sales and streams. Folklore sold more than 1.2 million copies and was clicked on by listeners 1.1 billion times. Rolling Stone uses a different methodology than Billboard, which named Post Malone's Hollywood is Bleeding 2020's top album.
I like Post better than Taylor Swift. I'm going to throw it out there. I do. I like Post Malone. I'll rock out in the morning. I rock out to a lot of stuff. It could be the Carpenters, and then I can go straight into Post Malone. Just that fast. Into Bob Welch, not the pitcher. Just letting you guys know. It's crazy. It is. Speaking of weird, have you guys seen the pictures? And I'm trying to figure out like what happened the weekend, who's going to be performing at the Super Bowl. And I can't tell if it's fake because it's a video, right? Or what the deal is. Because remember, he showed up at some music award and he had his face all bandages up. And then he's got now a new video out and he looks like somebody who's gone through insane plastic surgery. And he's saying, look, it's face prosthetics as a result of time in the makeup chair, not actual surgery. I hope not, because he looks like one of those people that should be on one of those Beverly Hills bad plastic surgery shows. And it's weird. But it did freak people. Like, did he get stung by a bee? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Big night for the Democrats. Now moving forward, the ball's in your court. What are you going to do? How does it change the way that things are going to go? Having the Senate and the House, as well as the presidency. And throughout all of this, you've got all of the objections as they go and, basically, ratify the election. And I object. And that stuff it's at the end of the day, though, this is where I told you we were going to be. But what about I told you we were going to be in this position. I told you Biden was going to be president. I told you on January 6th, nothing was going to change. That they had no power. Well, Pence had no power. Pence is throwing out the first pitch. He's there because he's the grand marshal. But it's like one of those things like, hey, you got an honorary doctorate. Well, it doesn't mean you can actually perform surgery. I'm a doctor. It's like in England when you get knighted. Like Sir Elton John isn't really royalty. He'd like to think he is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from all of you. Your love, your hate, all of that stuff. Again, how we move forward in this is we hope Biden does good things. And I hear people say, oh, he's just going to give in to China. By the way, the people I've talked to and the reports I've seen have backed this up that he's not biting on any of these tariffs. He's going to take a look at some of these things. He's going to take a look at some of this stuff. And I think people think he's going to get in there. But he is pushing back on a lot of the progressives. I think what you're going to see is Obama 2.0 in a lot of these things. You're going to see Obama 2.0. A lot of Goldman Sachs people. A lot of people that are, it's going to be a lot of the same that it was with Obama. A lot of retreads. It's not going to be Hugo Chavez like so many people think. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
More than half of Republicans in the House and 13 Republican senators are expected to lodge formal challenges to results in at least 3 states. States that have already certified the election, states where courts have repeatedly found no credible evidence of the president's false claims of widespread voter fraud. The group of challengers do not have the votes to overturn the will of the American electorate.
There you go. But, Chad, they're having rallies. This is it. It's not going to happen. A lot of you out there who bet me today that something was going to happen. This isn't going to happen. It isn't. And while all this is going on and they're challenging and they're going behind closed doors and they've got 2 hours, this things could drag on and on and on. At the end of the day, it's over. You've proved nothing in court. You've proved nothing anywhere else that, except for social media. That's it. I'm always willing to listen, but after a while, when there's nothing, I'm like, I got to go. Sorry. Well, Mike Pence has no power. He has the same amount of power in this as you and I do. He has no power. He's going to read from a script with his gavel. Calling to order, because he's the president of Congress. But that's all he's going to do. He can't do anything. And to be honest with you, talk about a guy who's in a very tough place. I don't think Pence would do anything even if he could, because I don't think he believes that it was stolen.
And I hope Mike Pence comes through for us, I have to tell you. I hope that our great vice president comes through for us. He's a great guy. Of course, if he doesn't come through, I won't like him quite as much.
I don't think he would, and he doesn't have the power. At the end of the day, this is it. The people have spoken. Well, they stole the election. Well, you've got to prove they stole the election. I worry about election integrity long term. For a lot of people out there that I talk to, this is about Trump. They are a Trump supporter. They're not a reporter. They're not a supporter of the Republicans. They're a Trump supporter. That's what they are. Yes, I worry about election integrity. Absolutely, I do. 110%. And we need to see and dig down in the real areas where there may have been some stuff. But at the end of the day, it would never be enough to change anything. We need to make things better. People they don't understand that. Somebody said something to me today, and she's like, look, I love your show. And I'm like, well, you're weird, but thank you so much. She says, I know it was stolen from him, but you're right, there's no proof. Huh? So you in your mind it was stolen, but there's no proof. That doesn't make any sense. That's like talk about juxtaposing positions. I can't prove any of these things, but I know it to be so. Because I want it to be so. And that's where we are. So I'll give you a quick breakdown on how all of these things have been taking place and how this, the stuff goes down over time, as you've been watching it and everybody soaks it up on social media and how Ted Cruz is going to come in. Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and a lot of these other people are angling for notoriety, opportunity to boost their selves for a run at the White House or for people in the House, a run at maybe a Senate position. That's what it's all about. They have no power. But as you watch all this stuff break down, let me show you how you have to do it in writing. So you go and they do it in writing, right? And you've been seeing that on there. I object. Then they split up. So the Senate goes their place into their chamber and Congress goes over there. And then behind the closed doors, this is where they are, and they debate it. And a tie goes to the runner. Meaning you had to have both chambers agree to get rid of votes or electoral votes and say no. And that's just not going to happen. Even if one chamber says yes, the other one says you need both. What's next? Couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what's next. I mean, I'm going to get it. Well, there's another thing coming. And on the 20th, people are going to be like, well, on the 21st, you're living in denial. You're living in denial. And I live in reality. And the reality is, this is what it is. You don't have to like it. If you're in Georgia today, you're probably thinking to yourself, if you're a staunch Republican, oh my God, I can't believe we only had to win one of these damn races and we were shut out. What? How did this happen? I know there's going to be recounts and this may not be, done for a couple days, but the reality is how? Trump hurt you? Yet people saying, you tell everybody who follows you. Oh, it's dirty. I was stolen. I was robbed. It was all of these things. But trust these people. They're bad. They're evil. They robbed me. It's deep state. They're against me. But trust these people. And then you've got other people out there. Lynn Wood, who's a big attorney, who was fighting on behalf of the president, not officially in the capacity, much like Sidney Powell, not in that capacity of working for the president. Well, she kind of was at one time, but then he's out there and a big name out there in Georgia because of, the Atlanta bombing and representing Richard Jewell, telling people Republicans don't come out and vote. And then you've heard from a lot of Republicans over the last several days. Well, I just don't believe it. I don't believe this is fair. I don't believe we can do it. You hurt your own self. That's the reality of what took place. That is it. Georgia has not had a Democratic senator since 2000. Not only do you have two Democratic senators. Now, think about this for a second. You've got Reverend Ralph Warnock, grandson of a slave. By the way, the pulpit in the church that he's at was Martin Luther King's church. And you got, I think he's I think Ossoff's 31. I think he's the youngest senator that's out there, beating an incumbent in Purdue. And there's going to be challenges, and there's going to be, within a half a percentage point when all the dust is settled, within a half a percentage point, you're going to have a automatic, you're going to have a recount. You can ask for the recount within a half percentage point. And if you feel there's nefariousness, but there's a time that you have to do it. So this is where we are, though. And people don't want to, they can't, and they get frustrated. They get pissed at me. Like, I'm going to give you the truth, whether you want to hear the truth or not. And that's the problem nowadays. So many people on both sides of the aisle want to hear what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. If you want an echo chamber, there are plenty of shows for that. We are not an echo chamber. It's a pretty good name for a band, though, right? Echo Chamber? There's got to be a band called Echo Chamber, you would assume. You would. But it's a pretty good name for a band. All that being said, then today you've got a Stop the Steal big protest going on.
30,000 people are expected. The permit was for 5,000, and then it got increased. Again, this group that's putting on this big event here on this January 6th is Women for America First. They were the ones who were behind that pro-Trump rally that happened on December 12th.
What's going to happen? I don't know. Are they planning a thing? There were some clashes last night between the police and protesters. Will there be more today? I don't think so, but you never know.
D.C.'s Mayor Muriel Bowser, who says, look, no one come into D.C. Also, residents pretty much stay out of downtown area because they're concerned about any potential violence, especially as this rally goes throughout the day. And then there is potential for violence when the sun goes down. And so D.C.'s mayor has mobilized the National Guard. Every city police officer is working today, is on duty.
Yeah. I don't think anything's going to happen, but understandable. Could there be some clashes? Of course, there's possibility for anything. I think most of it's going to be peaceful. Trump's going to get out there, and it's the false sense of hope that somehow magically things are going to happen and change, and it's just it isn't. And I'm okay with people yelling at the messenger, which is me. But now the question, and that we're going to talk about, is where do we go from here? How does this look? What does this look? What's this look like in a Biden presidential country? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Iran, did they or didn't they threaten us with something today over revenge? Mm-hmm. Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The FBI and FAA are looking into a breach of the air traffic control system tonight after someone broadcast a threat to attack the U.S. Capitol over the radio frequencies used by pilots.
The chilling threat was heard by multiple air traffic controllers on Monday afternoon in New York.
We are flying a plane into the Capitol Wednesday. Soleimani will be avenged.
Yeah, so that's supposed to happen today. How real is it? Who was Soleimani? Remember that? It was a general. Talking about a general here, for those of you who don't remember, we targeted him, we locked and loaded, and we killed him. And this is a guy, General Soleimani, who was arguably the behind the scenes, the most influential people in the Middle East. A hero in Iran, but influential in a bad way. Had his fingerprints all over the Middle East. And they targeted him, and they got him. And now, today, they say they're going to fly into the Capitol building. And, the reality is it's a threat. You go on high alert, but I don't think it's as real as people think.
The Pentagon and other agencies were briefed about the digitized voice recording and believe it was designed to suggest hitting the Capitol on the same day Congress is set to count the Electoral College results. The recording refers to Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general killed in a U.S. drone strike ordered by President Trump, and came on the one-year anniversary of his death.
You look over his past, he's been called a monster. He was a monster, and he's no longer a monster. He's dead.
Yeah. By the way, the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1747, he was on the list, targeted with sanctions. He was sanctioned again by the U.S. along with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad for involvement in providing materials and support to the Syrian government. Several other things from the European Union, providing equipment and support to Syria, as well as several different groups in and outside of Iran, like Hamas and Hezbollah and things of that nature. So the dude was not, to us, to him, he's a hero. To them, he's a hero, right? Like one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. So supposedly today, something they say is going to happen. And you go and but I don't think it's as real as people think.
In Iran, Soleimani is revered, and Iranian officials have vowed revenge. While the government does not believe the warning of an attack is credible, it is being investigated as a breach of aviation frequencies, and the threat would be a crime. Air traffic controllers were reminded today to report anything unusual, like if a plane deviates from its flight path or any type of threat. The FAA is working with law enforcement. The FBI is not commenting.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to happen. But you got to pay attention. These are the things that you have to do. You pay attention. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet, text the program. Here's something, though. If something like that happened today, so they flew a plane, they crashed it, they tried to attack us, we knew it. This is where Trump could come in and go, all right, we're suspending this, maybe suspend the Constitution, we're putting a halt on this, I'm declaring martial law, and maybe that's what people think is going to happen. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. Because I'm asking the question. You can go on Twitter. I'd like to hear from you. What do you think Trump's next move is? What do you think his next move is? Because we've gone through all the benchmarks, the milestones, the things that we've had to do, and, it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I'm going to say it again, 2 weeks from today is the inauguration. What's the next move for Trump? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter, tweet, text. Love hearing from all of you.
A previous loophole in federal regulations allowed people to bring animals, even exotic animals, on board without paying a fee, if they could show that they needed the emotional support. But after some cabin crews and other passengers were injured by untrained animals, regulators closed the loophole. The cash-hungry airlines have another incentive to prohibit emotional support animals. Collectively, they stand to make about $60 million a year in pet fees.
Oh, damn pets. They need every fee they can get. I would pay extra money, though, if I could bring my exotic animals on there. Like Winston, I'd pay it. I'd buy another seat. You could sit next to me. It's not my emotional support animal, but I sure in the hell don't want him underneath. He's better than that. He is. And he's cold-blooded. He's cold-blooded. And he would sit there. Like my big guy, Norm, that's like, I think he's 6'8" when we last measured. It's hard to get him because he doesn't want to just always hang out one place. But he's about that. He's about a foot taller than me, give or take, probably 10 inches taller than me or so. He would not sit there. He would not do well. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. A Biden presidency, what's it look like? Talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're going to make sure we're putting vaccines and supplies where the demand actually is. And you're going to continue to see these rates ramp up.
Yeah, I would hope so, because it's not gone really well. And I can't blame that all on the feds. I mean, here in Arizona, we had 440,000 doses of vaccine, and we've only, I guess, administered 91,000.
It is by no means as good as we would want it to be, but I want the American people to keep this in perspective. Most difficult vaccine rollout in history. It's ramping up, and you'll see things rapidly increase over the next couple of weeks.
I hope so. Dr. Jerome Adams there, Surgeon General. Still out there. We're still seeing this thing just continue to move up and up and up and up as far as the numbers. But at the same time, you take a deep breath, you start looking at, okay, who's catching it? Well, a lot of it, younger people. Well, I guess what? Younger people, I'm not worried about younger people. Can younger people die? Yeah. Younger, healthy people can die. At the end of the day, even people with comorbidities, age is the thing that is the deadliest towards this. Because, as you get older, obviously you have even more comorbidities. You have more issues, but age is the killer on top of this. And that for many people, it's the nail in the coffin. And we're never going to know the real truth about how many people died specifically from this. But at the end of the day, this was also a player in this election. And now going forward, we have to look and say, all right, well, Biden's going to be president. Looks like the Senate and everything else is going to be in the Democrats' hands. What does that look like? Well, it's going to be nothing but we're going to be Venezuela. We're not going to be Venezuela. I don't know how many times I have to tell you guys, we're not going to be Venezuela. I'm going to say it one more time. We're not going to be Venezuela. It is not going to happen. It isn't. It's not going to happen. All right, I'm going to say this one more time. Write it down. Get out of your echo chamber. By the way, we were talking earlier about echo chamber. It's a great name for a band. Within 2 seconds, Anthony sent me some. Oh, man, there's already a band called Echo Chamber. Good name, though. It's just not going to happen. All right, we're not going to all of a sudden become this socialist nation where there's mass takeover of industries by the government because there's no money in it for the government. The government makes their money in the industries by shaking them down with rules and regulations, not by taking them over. So that's just not going to happen. It isn't. Well, they're going to try socialized medicine. They very may try socialized medicine. At some point, I'm here to tell you, at some point we're probably going to have, and we have some versions of socialized medicine. See the VA. We know how poorly that's run. See what's going on in the world of, Medicare. We know how poorly at times that's run as well. We're going to have some forms of these things that we already have. I've lived in socialized medicine for a decade. I lived in England on and off for a decade. I lived under socialized medicine. Taxes go up. Quality goes down in some areas. Tell you what, though, we're in a position where people are serious. I've got friends who are Republicans who are like, man, I don't want socialized medicine, but I don't want a heart attack to freaking, set me back $500,000 and bankrupt me. I get that. Under Biden, will anything change? No, I think he'll try to strengthen Obamacare, which he'll probably do. What about taxes, Chad? They're going to tax the hell out of it. It's not going to tax the hell out of us. I'll tell you why. You could see taxes change some down the road. It's not going to happen immediately. And the reason's pretty simple. And which is the AOCs and everybody else are going to learn is you don't hand an anchor to a drowning man. We've got an economy that is sputtering along and struggling in a lot of areas. And the last thing you need to do is to crush that. So that's going to be maybe 2 years out before they even, I think, start thinking about something like that. May happen a little bit sooner with things like corporate taxes. They may raise them a little bit. They probably will, but it won't go back to where they were. High earners may see their taxes eventually go up, but high earners don't pay taxes, so it doesn't look the way that regular people do. So all these, and you, Chad, you sound like you're a proponent of. No, what I'm saying is, the reality is that everybody works up in their mind how awful this is going to be, that this is going to destroy the world, that somehow tomorrow, just like Obama, right? Like, and it happens almost always with all presidents anymore. With Obama, Sharia law taking away your guns. He was the greatest gun salesman up until the last several months, up until the coronavirus came along. Trump is going to get us into 1,000 wars. Quite the opposite. Because people work it up in their mind and they get this fear syndrome, and it's settle down. Those things aren't going to happen. What I think you'll see happen is the media will cover him differently, obviously, because they love the fact that he's a Democrat, but they're also going to hate the fact that their numbers are going to drop. Their dream in the media is for Trump to never go anywhere, to hold rallies like this almost every day and to watch him criticize and gaslight people. And that's their dream, because it gives them something to continue to do, all while everything else is going on over here. You'll see some civility, but Biden is going to bore us to death. And for a lot of people out there, I think it's okay. I think it's going to be more Obama 2.0 than Hugo Chavez, which is just amazing. And, you start talking to people and you're trying to set them like, that's not going to happen. No, that is going to happen. No, it's not. Do you think that there were, if you guys have any study of Venezuela, go look at some of the stuff Hugo Chavez used to do. Okay? For real. He would walk into places with the military and he'd say, "This is our shop now," right to the business owner. It's not going to happen here. This just isn't. And the other beauty is we're a republic. We have many states that politically will fit, just like many shows, many different kinds of food, things that will fit the appetite of which you have. You see people leaving New York. You see people leaving Los Angeles and San Francisco, and they're heading to places that well, fit not only their political beliefs, but also fit their financial things, the liberty and freedoms that they want, how much government control has on things. But to think a year from now that we're going to be in a situation where all of a sudden we look up and we're like, oh, yeah, guess what? You know, they've come in now and they've decided to take over the baking industry. And now everything's a nickel. That's silly. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. And, yeah, you know what? We're going to fight. We're not always going to agree. And what I want to do on the show, and what I've always tried to do for my show, and we've got several new stations that have joined up over the last several days. And I'm hearing from some people, and someone's like, it's refreshing, and other people's like, you're this evil, liberal MSN. You know, I was talking to my uncle last night, who, by the way, is super MAGA. He is. And he's just like, I said, yeah, people accuse me all the time of being this like MSN, liberal. And I'm like, first of all, I don't even like MSN. Like what? Microsoft has their own, they're their own. I'm none of those things. I'm an independent. And I said that the most point that any of us should care about is the actual truth about things. Those are the things that matter the most. I have some liberal ideas, and I have some ideas that are very conservative. Republictarian, conservatarian, libertarian, independentarian. But as far as identifying as a Republican or a Democrat, I'm going to give a hard pass on any of that stuff. I am. I'm me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Hard words from Gabriel Sterling. He's the guy that kind of runs all the elections there. Like, just call him the chief operating officer out there in Atlanta, and but in Georgia. And again, hard words about whose fault it was that the GOP's losses out there in these races.
When you say your vote doesn't count, then you have people who are, you've laid your hands on and said, these are my people, who say, don't come and vote. Then you spark a civil war within a GOP that needed to be united to get through a tough fight like this.
Yeah. This is going to land in Trump's feet for a lot of people.
No evidence of any irregularities. The biggest thing we've seen is from the president's fertile mind of finding fraud where none exists.
Like yesterday, he was like, the Dominion machines. The Dominion machines. The Dominion, they're already not, it's like, we're not even open, sir. We haven't even started yet. No, it's already happening.
The President of the United States spent more time attacking Governor Kemp and Secretary Raffensperger than he did Raphael Warnock and Senator to be probably Ossoff.
Very true. And it caused a huge problem. Because there were so many people over the last several days who are like, oh, I can't believe that I can't trust that my vote counts, or that this thing is already rigged, or this has been rigged against Trump, so it's rigged against everybody else. So many people bought into that. So the thought process is, why would I go if I know my vote doesn't count? In my mind, why would I do that? Why would I go and do that? That cost him. That did. It cost him. And because of that, the somewhat unthinkable, I think you would have said even a month or two ago, even after the whole Trump loss and then the battle, the thought that they couldn't win two Republican seats in Georgia, who hasn't had a Democratic senator since 2000. You would think, well, they're going to at least win one. And now? Mitch? Aw. You're over to the kids' table. Chucky? You're up to bat. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Love and hate. If you're new to the program, thanks for joining us. I appreciate that. I do. My whole thing, I'm going to give you the truth. It's facts over feelings. Let's try not to be emotional, except when it comes to things that like puppies and stuff. You can be emotional about that. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverent? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
I'm going back to the South.
Beyonce going into the Grammys this year with the most nominations. The show was set for January 31st in downtown Los Angeles, but now they're being postponed until March because of the coronavirus surge. The Recording Academy, CBS, and the show's producer saying in a statement that with hospitals overwhelmed in the LA area and ICUs at capacity, they felt postponing was the right thing to do. The next major award show, the Golden Globes, still on the schedule for the end of February. For now, Jason Nathanson, ABC News.
For now! Golden Globes? All right, that's a win for the coronavirus. If you can cancel all these things. I haven't watched an award show in years. By the way, I don't also watch sports award shows. I know the wide receiver from Alabama last night won the Heisman Trophy. I thought it would be Trevor Lawrence. I don't watch award show. I just don't. And we used to watch him back in the day in the 70s and 80s and 90s because we didn't have the connection with the stars that we do now, right? Like they were New York, London, Los Angeles, and that's where they were. And now they're 24/7 in front of you. So them being on stage, it used to be about more about the before and the after than the shows. And people don't watch those things anymore because you know everything that you need to know about them. It might be the only time you see them outside of movies, televisions, or concerts, or a video was an award show. But when you see them 24/7 now, why? Why pay attention? Right? There's no reason to. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. So, and we reported her passing on Monday, Tanya Robbins. And then later on, it was, well, she's alive. And it was premature. And then yesterday, she was officially gone. Somebody who's not gone, though. And still fighting. And still kind of standing.
Larry King has been in the hospital in Los Angeles for almost 2 weeks battling COVID-19. A source close to the King family tells ABC News that he's getting better little by little each day. And doctors are talking about a day for him to be discharged, which the source says is, quote, nothing short of miraculous.
Is that insane? He's 87. I was reading yesterday. He says he wants to die on air, essentially. He never wants to retire. He just wants to expire. I think he doesn't want to tire. He just wants to expire. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. I asked the question, what's Trump's next move after, today and then, what took place, what you knew was going to take place, that most people knew was going to take place. And some of the stuff that's very interesting. Oh, he's going to be arrested. He's going to be this, that, and the other. James Comey, by the way, he's got another book coming out today, said, no, you don't prosecute him for anything, even things that he may be guilty of, which is what we've been saying. And I've always said Pence is not going to pursue any of it. And do not be surprised if there's a tap on the shoulder of people pursuing him in places like New York, and they say, let it go. Let it go. But let it go. Especially if you want to be somebody who unites, let it go is what's going to take place. And the reason is pretty simple. It's the first thing that, when Nixon resigned, first thing I'm pardoning. Why? Because you have to heal. And if you feel you're in a situation where the nation needs to heal, and let's be real, for a lot of people, I think that to be true. I think a lot of this stuff is overblown because we live in a world of social media. And it's 24/7 and it's right in front of us. And we think that the internet is real life. And because of all these things, and you watch, Fox News and you watch, One American News and CNN and MSNBC, and that this is the way everybody feels. But the reality is that's not really it, but it feels that way. So what's the best thing you do? We're done. We're just going to let it happen. But no. This, you got to think, there's micro and there's macro. Bigger picture. Bigger picture. of if we pursue him hardcore, that's not going to do anything but fracture us more. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, check out Chad Benson Show TV on YouTube, and we'll be doing a Facebook Live here in a little bit. You have a wonderful rest of your hump day. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.